we just got the engine block back from the machine shop. We got all of our machine work done, so we're ready to start cutting on the block and make this thing a 383. While we had the block over at the machine shop, they bored the cylinders 30 over. They decked the surface of the block right here and balanced the stroker kit for the bottom end. Rods, pistons, crank. We'll start by pulling all the main caps off so we can set the crank in and see where we got to cut. Now the first thing you want to do when you get an engine back from the machine shop is check to see if they put the galley plug in under the oil cap. A lot of people don't know it's there. There's a galley plug sitting down there and they did put it in. A lot of people don't see it, don't ever know it. The engine will run without it, but you'll bypass the oil filter. You'll have no oil going through your oil filter if that galley plug's not in. Sits down in there about 1.5 inches down in. Now this oil galley comes up in here through the block, and what it does, if that galley plug's not in, is it just comes straight back out the hole. Well, when you put the galley plug in, then it bypasses and goes to the oil filter, and then your filter can filter all your oil. Now when you're putting your main bearings in, always put the ones with the holes towards the block, because that's your oil feed. You'll have a set of bearings with a hole and a set of bearings without a hole, and the holes always go in the block. Now this is the bearing that goes in your cap. See, no hole there. And this one has a hole. Setting the other bearings in place. These bearings right here are just bearings for the crank, so it can turn. Now this bearing right here has got built-in in-play. It's machined for a certain amount of in-play so the crank can slide back and forth, because the crank has to have anywhere between 8 to 10 thousandths in-play. Alright, we got a Eagle aftermarket crankshaft, which has been cross drilled for oil. End's been balanced. Some of the holes they drill, sometimes they have to put mallet in. Now, once we got the crank in, I'll put the main caps on it, just so it will set solid. But see, like right here, we don't have enough clearance, and we'll put a rod on it, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have to cut out right here to make more clearance. This engine has a 1/4 inch more stroke now than it had before, so we have to check everything and see where it clears and where it doesn't. This is a new style engine, but we're taking essentially what is a 400 small block crank and putting it into a 350 and making a 383 out of it. And a 350 is a 3.48 inch stroke, and a 400 is a 3.75 inch stroke. So what we're doing is we're giving this motor a lot more bottom end, but to do that we have to clearance it. Now I've got the main bearing cap for the number 5. I'm going to put it on, and when you're putting bearings on or putting motors together, remember that everything goes tang to tang. This is your tang, and this is your tang. Down here are your locks on your bearings, and it always goes tang to tang. Put a little bit of that on there. Number 3 bearing on. A little bit of center lube. Just snugging these up just to get the crank in there so we can see where we got to cut it. We can turn it right there and see that's really close. So we know we need to cut that.
How much clearance should there be there?
There should probably be about 60 thousandths clearance there. We got barely nothing. We know we got to cut that area right there. Now this motor may not have a lot of clearance issues because it's all aftermarket Eagle crank and Eagle rods and stuff, so they've built in a lot of tolerances for that. They've already clearanced a lot of stuff. But we'll just put it on and see what we do have to clearance. Once we get the rods on, I think we'll have to clearance some more. Okay, I'm taking one of the rods. I'm going to pull the cap off and just put one of the rods on it so I can see where the clearance issues are at. Put the rod bearing on. Put a little bit of grease on it. When you are building a motor, make sure, especially on a Chevrolet, that your tang on bearing, your bearing lock, always points towards the outside of the engine. So on this side, towards the outside of your motor, not towards the inside. Slide this up and put that on. The tang has to be on this side, pointing out. Like if you put that on, that would be in this cylinder, your tang pointing out. You can't put it on where your tang points in like that. Your motor will lock up if you do that, because there's a different pressure on your tangs. That's why they put them on the outside. They don't want your bearing to spin.
So this cylinder is pointing out,
So we'll put this on.
and this cylinder would be pointing out the opposite direction.
Yep. And then you go tang to tang. And you put your caps on.
We're just sliding the piston in so we can measure the clearances we need.
Okay, now we're just going to turn it over slow. See what needs to be clearanced. And it's all clearing. Right now I'm looking for anything that's going to come close to this rod, this block. That looks like it's close, but if you look at it from the side, you can see there's actually a lot of clearance. I'm looking down here to see how much clearance I have between the piston and the crank. And I'm looking right here to see how much clearance I have right there.
So that one's good.
So this one's good. Now we're in here and we're checking for clearances. You can see where that extra stroke it hits there. That's where one of the spots where we're gonna have to clearance it. Now this is all aftermarket stuff, so really that's the only spot that we have that isn't clearing. Everything else is clearing. But some of the other stuff is close, so we'll go on and make some room there too, just in case we have a wobble or the bearings start going out, it doesn't hit the block and crack the block, things like that. Now we take this all back apart, and since we've made our marks, we know what we're cutting and how far we're cutting. Go ahead and clearance it, and then you can start building the motor.